Hello and welcome to the AMP podcast with Mark Dandrea, the Doctor of Real Estate, and Justin Humphreys of Humphreys Homes. This podcast is one of the tools and resources that's available through the Agent Mentorship platform. So every week we're going to be covering various aspects of real estate for buyers and sellers, as well as just general information about the market as a whole. We'll also be talking about real life situations and stories from the host to guest and myself, as well as anything and everything in between. I'd like to encourage you to, or a better word, maybe request, if you would please, to share the AMP podcast with your friends and on all of your social media channels. My name is James Minter, and I'll be sharing the mics every week with two individuals who have more infinite wisdom than myself, who will be sharing all their years of real estate, all their experiences in life, and everything in between. It's the Doctor of Real Estate, Mark Dandrea, and Justin Humphreys of Humphreys Homes. Good day, gentlemen.
Good day, James. How are you?
I'm good. Justin?
Great to be here.
All right, let's get started. So to just set the stage, the first episode is Know, Like, Trust. So a big part of today is just going to be sharing some stories, sharing with the audience some of your knowledge within the industry, of course, because we're going to rely on that through every episode every week. Just to get things going, Mark, can you begin perhaps by just sharing with the audience a little about your background and what has led you to be here today for the AMP podcast?
Sure, James. Back in 1992, I was privileged and blessed to work for Dominion Homes. At the time, it was called Dominion Homes. It's now called Pulte. I was recruited there to be a salesperson. And basically on my first day on my first sales meeting, I made a decision that I wanted to take a different approach to selling real estate. It's the marketing of real estate and to being of assistance to folks in real estate. So in my first day, I was sitting in a sales meeting and I was surrounded by people I respected, very talented salespeople. There were discussions before our boss came in the room about folks coming into our model homes and wanting to talk about something other than buying a home. That kind of triggered something in me at that particular point. I didn't want to be that salesperson. I wanted to be of assistance to folks, no matter why they visited a Dominion Homes model. I wanted to simply answer their questions and help them find the home that they wanted to live in. So that was kind of the impetus. We'll get into the more details of what I mean by that in future conversations, but this is about being of assistance to people in real estate. Started in 1992, left Dominion Homes in 2002, started a brokerage with a buddy of mine, Scott Bookheimer. It still exists today. It's called A-List Realty, and we grew that business for about 2 years, from just the two of us to about 24 agents. And I'll tell that story some other time, but left there and went to 2 or 3 other brokerages. And James, I worked really hard to start what we now call AMP, which is the Agent Mentorship Program. And finally hooked up with Red One Realty, Mike Hall and Ken Fairchild, Michelle Brooks and Bob Petty back in November of 2020. And that almost brings us up to date. But that's kind of my background in a nutshell.
Very good. Justin, if you could share a little bit about your background and how you and Mark eventually came together.
Yeah, so my background, I'll start with that and kind of segue into how Mark and I met each other. I'm born and raised in the Ohio Valley. I grew up in Steubenville, Ohio, right on the Ohio River and Ohio's eastern border. And I went to local community college, got my associate's degree in criminal justice there. But I got into the hospitality industry shortly after graduating high school in 2009 and did that for a number of years. And that's actually what brought me here to Central Ohio. I moved out here to help a good friend. His uncle owned a chain of sports bars out here in the Columbus area, and we moved out here together to help him manage those. I eventually met my partner at that place of business, and we had a baby, moved up to Delaware, started working and managing a place called 1808 American Bistro up in Delaware. Great restaurant, still love it to this day.
Love that food.
They're wonderful. It's one of my favorite places in Central Ohio. While I was working there, my partner Ashley, her mother was a real estate agent, still is. She's actually part of the AMP team as well. She noticed how I interacted with my regulars and thought that real estate would be a great fit for me. So I started my schooling in September of 17 with Hondros. I got licensed January 1st of 2018. I was one of the first 50 agents to join Red One Realty a little bit later on in February of 2019, right when the brokerage had formed, and loved it. I've been in love with Red One Realty ever since the first day I joined the brokerage, and I still hold true to that today. right around November, December of 2020, Mark Dandrea joined up with Red One Realty and had this big announcement about this coaching platform called AMP. So I joined that session where he was kind of pitching that to all the Red One agents, and I liked what I heard, and I joined up. I think I was on our sheet that tracks when people joined. I think I'm number 5 or 6 on that sheet. That was in early 2021. And it's been a great ride ever since. Mark, without a doubt, has been one of the best mentors I could have asked for. Taught me a lot about how to do this business correctly and ethically and effectively. And since joining real estate and AMP and Red One Realty, I've sold over 100 homes on and off market. I help mentor an incredible team of more than 100 agents who are projected to do a lot of volume, over 70 million in volume this year. So I love this business, love this brokerage, and love this team called AMP. So that's a little bit about my background and how we met.
Very good. Thanks, gentlemen. So as you can see, we've got some true experienced veteran professionals in the real estate industry who are going to be here every week, guiding you through various concepts, processes, sharing with you things that work, don't work, suggestions that you might want to consider as you're buying or selling a home, or even as an agent. It is the AMP podcast. It is an agent mentorship platform, and it's not just for the agents that are involved with Red One, but if you're interested in Red One, we certainly can share more information about that. But even if you're not with Red One, you still are probably going to find some value in listening to what we're going to be sharing every week as it relates to not just the real estate, but also the life and anything and everything else in between. Now, before we go much further, let's go ahead and share some contact information, best ways that those that are listening might be able to get a hold with either one of you. Mark, you want to go first?
James, we've got Red One Realty website. Any agent who's interested in joining Red One and then joining AMP can go there. There's the AMP YouTube channel, which is open to the public. My particular website is markdandrea.redonerealty.com. You can obviously also get a hold of us directly. My cell phone number is 614-395-6275. Justin, I don't know yours.
That's okay. My cell phone is 740-275-1277. You can find my email, justin@humphreys-homes.com. My website actually is www.humphreys-homes.com. You can also find me on Facebook @Humphreys Homes, Instagram @Humphreys_homes.
Well, if you didn't get all that written down, it's okay. We will repeat that information a couple of times before the end of the podcast. So, gentlemen, we're all fathers and husbands and sons, and we all have a strong drive to be successful in our business. But I am curious, especially for new agents, people that are just getting into the profession, and Mark, I'm going to lean on you for this one, I think, to at least come out of the gate. You know, we talk about work-life balance, people just getting their career started, maybe starting a family, and then trying to find that balance, what works for them and things they need to focus on. Do you have some suggestions, maybe a top 3, I don't know, top 4, to those just getting into the industry of what that work-life balance might look like?
James, the way we describe that on the agent mentorship platform, and you hit it right on the head. Everybody has 4 categories in their life that everything fits into. Family, faith. If you don't have a faith in a higher power, then it's faith in yourself. You've got a social life, and many agents have work outside of real estate. So just about anything you do in life will fit into one of those 4 categories. One of the main, philosophies behind the agent mentorship platform, and one of the reasons why Justin and I and the other leaders get along so well, is we recognize that a person decides to obtain their real estate license, they must have a passion for assisting people, certainly a passion for assisting folks to make one of the largest financial decisions they'll ever make in their life. So I think it starts there, wanting to be of assistance to folks and recognizing that everybody has a life. Real estate will dovetail into with that nicely. We have a number of different ways that we train people. We'll get into that later. We try really, really hard to recognize that folks have stuff going on. Real estate's a part of it. For some of us, real estate's a larger part of it. Everybody's vision when they first go to obtain their license is different. Everybody has a different level or definition of success. And this platform was designed for all of those agents to get involved with, absorb it as their life allows them to, and ultimately achieve the vision or the definition of success that they've put into it. So I think that captures most of it for now.
Yeah, I think that's great. And a lot of great information there, and I'm sure we'll add to that in the weeks ahead. So very good. Thanks, Mark. All right, let's talk a little bit about family. So, Justin, I know you've got 3 young ones. What are their names again?
Addie, Easton, and Mackenzie.
I love unique names. We have 3. Our son is Preston with an I-N, and we have Pierce, who is normal spelling and probably the most normal of all the people in the family, in fact. But Pierce is Pierce, and then Peyton. I never knew the sex of my children. I wanted that to be a surprise, and so when we knew we were going to have Peyton, we were going to name it, if it was a boy or a girl, Peyton. We just changed the spelling when she was born so that she has 2 Y's, Peytyn. And then you have your partner is Ashley. And Mark, a little bit about your family?
James, I've been married for 38 years. In fact, 38 years, October 18th. We celebrated that together. Justin and I did. We went out to dinner. It was Ashley's birthday and our anniversary. So been married since 1986. My lovely wife, Erin, for 38 years. We have 2 children, Arden, our oldest, and Garrett, our youngest. And we have 2 grandchildren, Mary and Wyatt. And it's interesting. Around our house of late, it's been very interesting in real estate because our daughter and son-in-law built a new house. They moved in about 3 weeks ago, Wednesday. And then promptly after moving in, my son-in-law deployed. So we're helping our daughter get moved into her new home. And my son and daughter-in-law are building a home basically in our front yard. So we've got a lot of real estate stuff happening. But that's the family dynamic. And by the way, my daughter and son-in-law lived with us for about 14 months while they were building that house. I highly recommend that you do that with your kids. They're building a house, they're in transition, move them home, and things go really, really well.
It's good stuff. You make me feel like I'm not doing a good job. No, I got a 25-year-old. He's out of the house, hasn't started pursuing the path of home ownership yet, but perhaps he and his partner will be doing that here in the near future. My 17-year-old and 12-year-old got a few years. And then for you, Justin, you got 3 little ones. You got a little bit of time ahead of you as well. But no, I think that's fantastic. I've watched what you've been able to do with both of the kids and getting them into home ownership and even building up their portfolios with real estate property. I just commend you, and I admire that, and I'm hoping to do similar things with my kids. Well, it is the AMP podcast, part of the agent mentoring platform. A lot of it set up to help Red One agents, but if you're an agent not part of Red One Realty, you can certainly gain a lot of very valuable information and knowledge, not just from this podcast, but from some of the other tools that we'll be talking about here on the show. And again, you'll have the information, a direct line to both Mark and Justin. So if you have questions, I'm sure that they would be more than willing to talk with you. And if you're interested in joining Red One, I'm sure that that's an option as well. So the real estate industry, extremely busy career, very active industry. I know that some agents are working 6-7 days, depending on how hot the market is. Let's talk a little bit about downtime. Now, Mark, I know we were talking before the podcast about your horses and maybe Erin's horses, maybe. I know that's a big hobby for Erin. I know that you're very supportive of that. You help her. I think you enjoy it also as well. I mean, we were having a little bit of fun talking about the horses, and I've seen your videos. Listening to the horses whining in the morning when they're getting fed. So I know that you're involved with that as well. Now, is that more of her hobby and you're just being a supportive husband, or do you actually enjoy it just as much as she does?
It's both. It is. Well, it's more than a hobby. I mean, my wife grew up around horses. It's interesting. I grew up about 2 blocks from my wife and didn't know it. I grew up on Elmore Avenue. I'm a Columbus boy, so I grew up on Elmore Avenue. My wife lived on Homestead. It's literally from my front door to her front door, maybe 2 blocks. So she moved in 1976 out into the country. So obviously that's why we live in the country, but she grew up with horses. She introduced our daughter to English riding, hunter jumpers when she was probably 4. And so my wife and daughter ride horses. We have 3 currently in our front yard. And we also have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So what's fun about that, James, is I grew up with allergies, and I was most allergic to horses, cats, and dogs, and we now have all 3. So at any rate, yes. Hobbies for me, I love to golf. I'm in a golf league on Monday evenings with my son-in-law. Justin and I will be getting out on the golf course when we have time. So I love golf. She loves horses. It's a great match. I also love classic cars, but again, we'll probably talk about that some other time because I could talk to you about classic cars all day long.
We will save that for a future episode because, yes, I also love cars, and that could become a very long conversation. So, Justin, I kind of know the answer to this. I think all 3 of your kids are under 10, but just for you, I mean, what do you do to unwind, to decompress, to kind of break away from everything? And then also your partner, Ashley, does she enjoy doing the same things, or do you guys have different things that you do, or are there things that you do with the kids, without the kids?
Well, with kids being 6, 7, and 8 years old, we are very busy with sports, obviously, with school, extracurricular activities for them. But what helps us disconnect, I enjoy competitive sports, so I grew up playing football. After high school, I played competitive racquetball, which is big in the Ohio Valley where I grew up, not so big out here, and it's kind of a dying sport, but still enjoy it a lot. A lot of volleyball, pickleball, table tennis, all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy the competitive sports, and it's a fun way to stay in shape. So I do that when I can. I'm also big on entertainment. So movies, music, video games. I was born in '89. I was a '90s kid. So video games are a big part of my culture growing up. And it's still a little something that I hold on to help me unwind in the evening once everybody's asleep. But yeah, we stay very busy with the kids, and that brings a lot of joy, a lot of fulfillment in itself. And yeah, sometimes we'll sit down, watch a fun Netflix documentary together. My partner Ashley, she loves true crime, so I have a lot of nightmares after we enjoy those. But
do you remember the days when you had to wait for the next episode to come out the following week?
Yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed it.
So did I.
We talked about it at dinner, but The Sopranos, we would have Sunday dinner, and then our whole family would gather in the basement to watch the Sopranos. It becomes a something to look forward to, kind of a ritual type thing that we lost when the binging with Netflix started. So
you gather around the table and you gather around the TV.
Yep.
Now you and your partner Ashley, or me and my wife Erin, can knock out an entire season of episodes in the evening. I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, I don't. I try to, even when they're all available, I still try to space it out. Yep.
We knocked out 2.5 Halloween themed movies the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I was up way too late.
Yeah.
Poltergeist, Amityville Horror. Forget we knocked out half of another one, but anyway, all the old classics.
In college and high school, we would have like these binge sessions, Friday, Saturdays, or Sunday nights, mostly Friday nights and Sunday nights, watching all the classics back to back. And still to this day, I love a good horror film. But over the years, one of the first ones that ever got me was Hellraiser. The Jasons and the Friday the 13th, not so much, but Hellraiser, for whatever reason, that one got a hold of me. But now, today, when someone's like, yeah, scary movie, man, it was really terrifying. You need to see this one. Like, I haven't seen Terrifier 1, 2, or 3. I heard they're very gory, but we'll see. But I always gauge the severity of the scare or the horror of the film based upon whether or not, before they go and lay their head on the pillow, they go and check every window and every door of their house.
Well, for me, that is Halloween the original.
Oh,
so
you stole it, man.
Well, it's great, and I younger generations now, I encourage them to go back and watch it, and some of them find it comical. But my first experience with it, I was 5 years old. My older brother Robert was a bad influence.
Why are you watching it?
So my older brother was a bad influence, and he forced me, literally physically forced me to watch it. I still when I watch Halloween, I start looking over my shoulder. I start, like you said, checking the windows and doors, and it's just classic. The soundtrack, the scenery, the way it's shot, it is a quintessential horror classic and my favorite.
I love Halloween. Saw it in the theater. Everybody in the theater is screaming, went after he shot him. Michael, you just wanted that dude to not be around anymore. It was classic.
I wonder, have you guys, there was a movie, it was a Chuck Norris movie. It was a knockoff from Halloween where Chuck Norris is the hero and actually defeats the unstoppable killer. I don't know if you guys ever saw it before, and I can't remember the name of it, but in a future episode, I'll point it out to you. Maybe you guys can check it out. Direct ripoff from Michael Myers from Halloween, but he's going up against Chuck Norris, and it's actually a really
that's classic,
entertaining. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'll get the title and
please Google
bring
that.
it back
I need to watch that.
Well, now I'm intrigued. I thought I knew all of the Chuck Norris movies, but evidently not. All right, for our agents listening, for the buyers and the sellers listening, let's just talk a little bit about the market, what that looks like. Obviously, that changes all the time, but let's just take a snapshot what the market looks like now. I mean, how are homes selling? How many are on the market? Is it a buyer or a seller's market? What's driving the market? Who wants to give us the market snapshot, if you will?
Go ahead, Justin.
So right now, the market is in a very interesting place where we refer to it as an adjustment period. We're seeing inventory as of today that we haven't seen in almost 5 or 6 years. So there's about 4,800 homes on the market today. That's about 2 months worth of inventory. So if homes stopped going on the market today and what's out there for sale now is all that was left, it would run out in about 2 months. Here in Central Ohio, we're still it's still a strong seller's market. In order for it to be a balanced market where, it's balanced between buyer and seller, we would need about 6 months of inventory. So we're still about 4 months short of that, which indicates it's still a very strong seller's market here in Central Ohio. But we've got rising home values. Inventory is also up, and interest rates are still lingering in those high sixes, where it's still considered a little bit high compared to where it's been for the past couple of years. But honestly, I am 35 years old. My generation, we really haven't seen high or bad interest rates in our lifetime, really, because I know when you guys bought your first houses, and I'm not,
Are you saying we're old?
no, I'm trying to very politely dance around that, but when you guys bought your first houses, I'm sure you saw interest rates in 13, 14, 15% even maybe. And we're obviously not at that level, but so the housing market is in a little bit of an adjustment period. We went through this boom during COVID, during 20 and 21, where things were just moving with lightning speed. Interest rates were at 3%. And it was really a struggle for buyers at that time. It was so competitive. It was like getting put through the meat grinder. You had to have a really good real estate agent and a really good vision for what you wanted to do to be successful in purchasing a home during that time. But now, with this adjustment to the market, I feel like, Mark, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, the pressure's being let off a little bit, and that's helping buyers with affordability. It's helping buyers not have to be forced into making decisions about their purchasing process. They have more leverage. They have more options as far as more inventory. They can take the time to do their thorough inspections and remedies and really make sure that they're super comfortable and confident with their buying process. As the past 2-3 years, it's been, hey, you want to buy a house, jump on and hang on for the ride, because we're going to get you through it, but it was very competitive. So I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to get into all this stuff. So let's get into that. Justin described the market really, really well. One of the things as an agent who's been in this business for 32 years that becomes a little frustrating. For me, this is personal. I don't know. When we get some feedback on this particular video, we'll find out how other agents feel about it. But the national news media, the internet is abuzz most of the time, right? Everybody wants to try to capture a particular market that's taking place with a buzzword. And no offense to you, brother, a seller's market, a buyer's market, a slowing market. Interest rates are high or interest rates are low, or inventory is up or inventory is down. The market is the market. It's complicated. It's a complex system. And there are any number of factors that drive the real estate market. We think we have it figured out and narrowed down to some drivers of the market, which we'll discuss here in a minute. But James, the fact of the matter is there's always a buyer out there. There's always a seller out there. We can pair those people up. Interest rates, give an example. Last November, at any given month last year, there were about 2,400 houses on the market on average. I mean, if you follow it, and both Justin and I and all the AMP agents do, it was right around 2,400. I mean, it kind of floated back and forth between 2,000 and 2,400 any month. Well, last fall, November, December-ish, that spiked to 3,300 houses. I looked at it one day, and it was up as high as 3,300. So 800 houses were dropped onto the market. Why? Why at a time when interest rates were also at their peak in 2023? They were headed towards 9%. Well, all those houses are gone. They've been sold. Those buyers said, look, I'm going to get on board. I'm going to buy a house now. I can always refinance later. I'm not going to allow a house that I'm looking at today that's $300,000 be valued at $315,000 next November. I'm not waiting. I'm going to buy it now. So interest rates being high or low, I'm not sure that's a main driver. You're told it is because it's a buzzword. Inventory being high or low, not sure that's a main driver. Our position in real estate is to be of assistance to buyers and sellers and investors when the timing is right for them. Well, guess what? That has nothing to do with anything that the national news media or the internet might tell you. That's my opinion.
Well, and that's one of those things that you coach on a lot is there's life events that happen regardless of the inventory, regardless of interest rates, and those are a growing family, a shrinking family, a job that needs you to move to a different place, a new opportunity, wanting to downsize, wanting to upgrade. So one of the things that Mark really has driven home with our team with AMP is that for us to be in front of those people when those events happen and for us to be of assistance during those events.
Let's drill down on that if you don't mind, James.
Sure.
So we have, in Ohio, we've got 4 times of the year. And again, you've heard it often. I've heard it for years that spring is the best time to put your home on the market and sell it. And maybe it is. If a lot of homes go on the market in spring, well, the positive side is buyers have more opportunities. The negative side is sellers are up against more competition. So I'm not sure it has so much to do with it's just spring, except for this. When do you go on vacation?
Anytime the kids are out, May through August.
Oh, that happens to be summertime. Okay. So if you were going to move, you'd want to get that squared away sometime in the spring, perhaps slightly before your kids were going to be done with school, right there in that May time frame, but certainly before you're going to go on vacation, because after all, you and your wife planned that for the last year and a half, right? So folks want to move in spring because everybody wants their summers free. Teachers are off in summer, right? So when the summertime gets here, we want to make choices that are probably mostly related to school year. Well, the school year is going to start in August. So it'd be really good to have the kids in that school system, or gee, we're in this school system and we don't have any kids. Let's sell this house because the property taxes are higher, and let's go into a school system or a county that has lower taxes. So the school system kind of drives that, right? And then the school year comes and goes, and you think to yourself, well, we kind of missed it. But you can produce a document on a home that you may be closing on in the next couple of weeks for your school system and get your kids registered. So you're catching the tail end of that, but what you're catching the front end of for sure. And you know this as sure as we're sitting here. People love to be in their new home for the holiday. Who doesn't want to have Thanksgiving dinner at their house, Christmas celebrations at their house, the New Year's party at their house? Sort of starts with Halloween, but mainly Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Besides that, the snow's about ready to fly. And it's wintertime suddenly. Well, what's next? Spring, and it starts all over again. So those are the kind of the hidden drivers, right? They have to do with the time of year. Well, nested within those are what Justin mentioned earlier. Some of them are painful and crass. But as real estate agents, we don't control when there's a death or a divorce or a job loss or a job change or a promotion or wanting to be nearer to the grandkids, or when somebody's having children and need more space, or when somebody, their children are gone now and need less space. Real estate agents don't control that. What they do control is communicating, growing trust, nurturing those relationships, being there to answer questions about anything home any day of the week. And that's what real estate agents should be doing. Connect with folks, be there when the time is right for them. We don't run from the fact that something has to be sold and something has to be bought in our business in order for people to be happy and for folks to get paid. We don't run from that. But it isn't about the transaction. It's about the people that are involved. Frankly, our job starts when folks close. When they're in their new home, that's when your job really starts, because they're going to have a lot more questions that are unrelated to the actual purchase of the property, and you should be there for.
So, but of all the months I've heard, like December, that's slow, and I don't know if that's just because of the weather or because people are traveling for holidays and such.
Statistically speaking, the market slows between like December 10th and January 3rd. That's not because the markets. That's because agents are people, and they begin to spend more time with their family. Well, if the agents aren't engaged in the business, and it's fine for us not to be, I mean, we got to take time off to be with family, then their buyers and sellers generally aren't either. So that's not the market. We're taking some time. That's one. And two, you mentioned it earlier, and then I'll shut up and let you guys chat. 34, I think the last stat I saw was 34.7% of our gross national product is associated with the real estate market. That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of production. That affects a lot of people, lenders, contractors, wood, roofing, windows, dirt, gravel, title people, inspectors, appraisers, real estate agents for buyers and sellers. I mean, there's just dozens and dozens of areas that are affected by real estate. Well, that's a pretty darn big deal. So, frankly, about everybody you meet, their mind at some point or other is on real estate. So it's tough to get away from that, and we'll emote about more of that later. And I don't even remember where I was going with that, to be honest.
We'll just leave it at the fact that real estate is extremely important, feeds a lot of families. And I mean, you're taking care of landscapers and contractors, inspectors and roofers, and obviously real estate agents. So, yeah, all very, very important. This is the AMP Podcast, the agent mentoring platform, one of the tools and services available for not only Red One Realty agents, but other agents that are out there. So I encourage you to seek out the AMP Podcast and seek out the information about the AMP program. Mark Dandrea and Justin Humphreys, part of that team, working with Red One Realty agents and other agents of trying to help them understand how they become better agents. There are good agents and there are bad agents. We've talked in the past about bad agents, people who think they're going to go through, pick up their license, are going to go list a couple of homes. They're just going to, sell them, get their commissions, wipe their hands, move on to the next one. And there's a tremendous disservice to that, as you've outlined in things we were just talking about moments ago and even over the years. You're in the real estate business of providing real estate services, which encompasses a lot of different things. And for the agents to have a top-of-mind awareness as to what that means to super serve a client, to really look out, answer all their questions, make sure that they're doing everything right so they get maximum dollar for the house they're selling, and make sure they know what they're looking for on the house that they're buying, and having an agent that has that knowledge and is communicating that with them. But it all starts from the training, which is the AMP program, and that's a lot of what you guys do. So, Justin, I'm going to come to you on this and just ask general, just give us a rundown of what those things are that make a good agent.
Yeah, for me, what's helped me be quote unquote a good agent would be just staying true to my passion of being.
You're a great agent.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Well, what's helped me is just being staying true to my passion of being of assistance to people. Mark said it earlier, and we'll say it a lot throughout these episodes. Being of assistance to buyers, sellers, investors, people that want to build houses, agents that we mentor. I have a deeply ingrained passion to educate, advise, and assist. I come from a family of teachers. My dad grew up in Philippi, West Virginia. They had 7 siblings. They all became teachers. And even though I didn't become a teacher by trade or go to school for it, in a roundabout sense, we are, as agents, are teachers. So having that passion to be of assistance to people, when I've had it, whether it was in the real estate industry or whether it was in the restaurant industry, which I was in for more than 10 years, or in real estate or with this mentorship platform, that has really kept me on my toes to be a good agent. Also, picking up the phone is a big one. That's a big part of being a good agent. I think just being, and I think that draws back to just being there, being of assistance, being passionate, being honest, and putting in the work, whether that's the showings or the open houses or marketing a property correctly or just staying in touch with your database and your sphere to stay top of mind with them. So being passionate, being honest, being there, picking up your phone, those are all great tips on what I think makes a great real estate agent.
Mark, I see the wheel spinning. Anything you want to add to that?
Sure. We've been saying real estate agent and we've been saying realtor throughout this podcast. And of course, we're going to say that a lot more. James, the agent mentorship platform is designed to help those agents who join us on this journey to understand that we all market real estate services. It's incumbent upon us to take as holistic approach to our business as we possibly can. Certainly, we have to know everything about real estate law and principles and practices and some information about appraisals and ethics. It starts with the Columbus Board of Realtors and the Ohio Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, our brokerage. They absolutely keep us in line, educated, and updated on those ethics and law items that we need to be made aware of. So the baseline is right there, and Red One does an outstanding job with that. If you extrapolate that and maybe take a 30,000-foot view, we market real estate services. Well, what does that mean? I think everybody who's listening to this podcast thinks they know what a real estate agent or a realtor does. And I'm not of the opinion that that folks do. I don't think we as marketers of real estate services do a good enough job helping the public understand what goes into a real estate transaction prior to, during, and after. That's our fault. I read a lot about real estate, and I also follow trends like Justin does. This is from memory, so I may not get this exactly right, but the last list that I saw of the top 100 people that you trust that you might engage with in business, nurses are always at the top. Down, I think on this list, down at about 96 or 97 was Congress, which makes some sense, right? Whether you lean left or right, it's tough to have some faith there. You know who was 3 or 4 levels above Congress? Real estate agents. That's our fault. We need to change that perspective. So one of the biggest steps towards that is to be an expert in the field of real estate, market services related to anything home, from basement to roof, have some great connections like you. I mean, we met 18 years ago or something, a long time ago, at a network event. And so have connections in the business, people you trust, people that are reasonable, people that you've done business with. And I mean anything from basement to roof. If you, as a client of an AMP agent, call that agent, you can ask anything you want about your home, and we'll have an answer for you. We've got referrals to some outstanding contractors and vendors. So that, for me, that's what this is about. It's not about being a real estate agent or a realtor. Yes, we pay fees to the National Association of Realtors to have that R next to our name. I'm proud of that. I'm more proud of the fact that this team passionately and holistically represents their buyers and sellers and investors by being really great marketers of real estate services.
And that is something that always stood out for me, for you. It clearly distinguished you from everybody else. Your slogan, your motto, the doctor of real estate. If you have a need, I can fix it. I can help you fix it. I can take care of you, because you had these connections. You had like wonderful resources, and you did that through networking, of course. I mean, you met so many different people, and I know, when someone was looking for something, you'd have 2 or 3 contractors or vendors that you could share information and give that to them to make that choice.
Well, let's be clear, James. We're not allowed to make any money off that either.
Right.
That's illegal. So these are trusted people. Anyway, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, you're all good. That's pretty much what I was going to say. Just the fact that, through your networking and all the connections that you had and the way that you super served your clients when you were out there, I mean, whether they were buying or selling, if they need to have a landscaper, you could, slide them 3 vendors that they could interview, talk with. If they identify they needed a roof, you could get a roof inspection done, or have somebody come out and give them an estimate on what that might look like and how they needed to put that into escrow if they were going to, handle that at the sell, et cetera. All those types of things. I was just impressive. And I just remember thinking, this guy isn't just a real estate agent. He's like a real estate agent plus. You just had all those connections, and I could tell that you were a problem solver, and that whole doctor of real estate, fixing things, and the prescription, or any of the funny things that we were always trying to tie in, or that I was always trying to remember with your slogan. It made sense. I knew it then, because I could tell that you were problem solving, and you had all the resources to give them the best opportunity to make the most money for the sale of their property, and or to make the best decision on the purchase of a property.
Well, Humphreys Homes definitely does this too.
All right, good stuff. It is the AMP podcast, part of the resources and the tools through the agent mentoring platform that Mark Dandrea and Justin Humphreys do for agents, not only with Red One Realty, but other real estate agents that are looking to improve their skill sets, become better agents out in the field. Every week on the AMP podcast, we're going to be talking about real estate, things that will affect a buyer, a seller, and help the agents along the way. Agents that are wanting to gain some knowledge in some different areas. This is what that is for. And we're obviously going to learn some other things about these fellows right here as it relates to life and family and anything and everything in between. Now, before we go much further, let's go ahead and give some contact information for those who are listening. If you're an agent wanting to get in contact with either Mark or Justin, or wanting to learn more about the AMP program that's being offered, and or if you're an agent maybe interested in becoming a Red One Realty agent, that's fine too. But gentlemen, let's go ahead and give out the information.
Well, you can definitely find us if you go to red1agent.com, we're under the resources tab. There's a great spread about the AMP platform and everything that it entails. Me personally, you can find me at Humphreys Homes on Facebook, at Humphreys-Homes on Instagram.
Best way for people to reach me, James, is call or text. Now, they can also email me at drofrealestate1@gmail.com. Phone number 614-395-6275. That's Mark Dandrea with Red One Realty. Red One Realty's office is in Westerville. Stop by anytime. I'm there most of the time. Justin's there. You can always sit down and chat to us about the AMP program as well.
Very good. Thanks, gentlemen. All right, so it is the AMP podcast. We're talking real estate every week. Sometimes it's just questions and solutions that you might have. Obviously, training for those agents that are listening in and are part of the AMP program, or just gleaning some of the knowledge from these two gentlemen right here. But, part of that every week is also going to be sharing some information for buyers and sellers. And so today, right now, let's just focus a little bit on the seller, someone who's possibly looking to sell their home, their property in the next 3 to 6 months or so. Some of the boxes they want to check off, things that you believe are going to help them. And again, these are things that you guys all share with your agents all through the program that you want to make top of mind, and how they are providing those real estate services for their clients. So whoever would like to go first?
I'll go ahead and jump in there. I think one thing that has been very beneficial to my sellers has definitely been a pre-listing inspection. So a pre-listing inspection is going to entail an inspector coming out to the house. They're going to look over all the different aspects of the house, the plumbing, the electrical, the foundation, the roof, the appliances, the HVAC system. So they're going to give us a detailed, probably a 40-page report on any issues that might be lurking there that you might not even know about, even if you've lived in the house for 10 or 15 years or 5 years or whatever the case may be. There's going to be something there that will become an obstacle that needs to be addressed at some point during the transaction, because most buyers are going to come look at your house or make an offer on it, are going to want to do an inspection anyway. So I find it beneficial for sellers to jump out in front of that, get a jump on it, repair the big ticket items that they think may hold up that sale or maybe an issue for potential buyers. So a pre-listing inspection, I think, is big on my list. I also like staging a home. So when we go to list, we will do a free staging consultation at our listing consultation when we meet at your house and walk through it. And I also, when homes are on the market, it is a statistic that they sell 22% faster when they are staged. That means the house is vacant, but we bring a company in that's going to furnish the house and make it look like someone's living there. The reason that's effective is because when buyers come to see the house, Let's take an empty house that's vacant with no furniture in it. It's hard for them to picture, where would my couch go? Would this fit here? How would this room be set up? But if there's staging furniture there in the property, it really makes people feel like, oh, okay, this is how this room flows, or this is what would fit here, or I can picture myself in this room based on how this is set up. So for me, I really like the pre-listing inspection, and I really like the staging. Now, the staging is a little bit expensive for the physical furniture, but we also have an alternative for that, which is virtually staging a home, and that's done a lot of times through your professional photographer that you use. The software now, the AI stuff, has really come a long way to where they can take the professional photographs of your home and they can virtually stage furniture in there. And on the pictures, you honestly, a lot of times you can't tell by looking at it whether it's virtually staged or not. So 98% of the people that are looking at your house are going to see it online first. They're going to see it on sites like Realtor or Zillow.com, and making that first impression good wherever they're seeing the house, it makes a big difference in whether or not they're going to come actually look at it in person. So pre-listing inspection, staging, whether it's virtual or physical, I love those two approaches when getting a house prepped to sell.
James, let me piggyback on that. Justin, those are great points. So as it relates to the staging or the pre-listing home inspection, and I put free in front of that on purpose, that's something that our agents on AMP will absorb for you. They'll figure out a way to make sure that gets done and that it gets paid for either by them or at closing and absorbed into those expenses. So that's something that we provide. It's the same thing with staging. Staging, James, it's critical. As experts in real estate, we've tracked this historically. We'd like to think that we know how buyers think, and so we do. And when folks enter a home, I'll share this with you. To me, this is interesting. Justin and I go round and round about this all the time. people don't see the inside of your house first. They see the outside, but they don't see the inside. I mean, let's just set the scene here, right? A buyer's walking up to one of your listings. Their agent is with them because they're required to be with them. The agent's in front of them. They're working with the electronic or combination lockbox to let their clients in. The clients are still behind them. And then they get everything unlocked and they either open the storm door if one exists, certainly open the front door. And your buyers are standing there on the front porch and they have a 3-foot wide view of the foyer of your house. And that's about the extent at that particular moment, right? But you know what they absolutely get a sense of? They certainly hear what's going on inside your house. And they definitely smell what's going on inside your house. So those two senses actually beat sight. So we work really hard with our selling clients on music playing, having the house smelling the way that everybody would like it to smell, because those things affect buyers very quickly. That can turn them on or off. So staging is critical. We teach our selling clients how buyers think. We'll go into more details on that at some other time, but staging is important, Justin, so I'm glad you brought it up. Free pre-listing home inspection is important. I'll tell you a quick story. I was talking to a broker out of California, and we were connected because I had a client who had sold a property in California, and they were doing a 1031 exchange. So they took the proceeds from that sale, and they were buying a couple of investment properties here in Columbus, and I was assisting them in those purchases. So I was engaged with their listing broker in California. And California is a different state than Ohio. We all know that. And they do things differently in California than they do here as it relates to real estate. It's all somewhat the same, but here are the things that I was mentioning to him because we were talking about the AMP team. This was 2 years ago. We're on the phone talking about the agent mentorship platform because he asked me, hey, how's it going there in Columbus? And I told him and asked him how things were going in California. And then he asked me a question that my answer was, these are the things that we're focused on with our listing clients. And I talked about staging, and I talked about a free pre-listing home inspection, and I talked about an infographic report or a comparative market analysis that we do. And we talked about home warranties and including those, which will be something I'll get into in a second. And of all those things, this broker in California said, Mark, the most important thing you mentioned was the free pre-listing home inspection. He said, in California, when you list a home, all of them get inspected automatically. And then whatever is revealed by that inspection, those things either get addressed by the seller or money to address those is put in escrow with the title company. And it's sitting there waiting for the buyer to take that money and make those repairs themselves. He said, we don't have contracts fall out of contract here in California because it's all up front. The money's there, or the repairs have been made, the report's there. It's very transparent, right? So I was shocked by that, to be honest. I mean, I think that's a really smart way of doing business. It's more transparent. Buyers are more comfortable. Sellers are comfortable. Everybody knows what cards are on the table. So at any rate, that's the story of that. As it relates to a home warranty, we're dealing mostly with resale homes. A lot of us are able to buy land and build a brand new home. You've got manufacturer's warranties. You've got the builder's warranty for usually up to about a year. But most of the time, it's a resale property. It's not going to be perfect. There are going to be maintenance items that need to be addressed. And those are broken down in this home inspection. Home warranty, one of the unique things about Red One, I don't know that it's exclusive to Red One, so I can't brag about that. It'd be great if it was. Is all of our listings automatically come with a home warranty that covers the seller during the time that the home is listed. Covers everything but air conditioning. They can pay an extra $50 and get that covered. So it covers their furnace, all their kitchen appliances, and any electrical or plumbing needs that are covered under the warranty. And that's for the period of time we have it listed. That gives our sellers a significant amount of comfort that if they did have an issue during the time that it was listed, that could be addressed by the home warranty. So that's free. It comes with it. All of our sellers get it. And those are just some of the highlights that folks that are looking to sell their home as we get into fall, and there'll be a lot of motivated sellers out there. Justin, Mark, Gina, Sheila, Dana, all of the leaders, Malika, all of the leaders, and every AMP agent and every Red One agent offers some level of those 4 services: free pre-listing home inspection, fantastic comparative market analysis, a free home warranty, and staging with all of our listings. So those are 4 things that will absolutely help our listing clients, our sellers, achieve 3 things, which is all we're focused on for our sellers: most money in the least period of time with the least stress on our sellers. And those 4 things help a lot.
Good stuff. All right, getting close to the end of the show, and I'm just going to throw something out there, just because I'm curious. I'm sure someone else might be as well. I've been in my house for 24 years. I'm just curious, what is the average now for people buying, selling, moving into new homes or selling their houses?
You are fighting the average. The average is folks move every 7 years. That statistic hasn't changed for decades. If you looked it up right now on Google, the average lifespan, I think, of an American is 77 years, and the average American moves 11 times. You can do that math. 11 into 77 is 7. It's always right around 7. So at any rate, I won't hammer you for living in your house for 24 years. I think that's great.
Well, it truly was location, location, location. I do love the house, but I felt like we put our realtor through hell. I mean, it was the 13th house, but I've heard a lot of people saying that they've shown 25, 30, 40, 50 homes.
I showed a guy 85 houses.
Oh, wow, 85. That seems extreme. That's a couple of years in the works for me, I would think. But no, on average though, what do you think you find, or what do the agents traditionally see as the average houses they're showing before someone finds the one they love?
For me, it balances out. I'll go 4 or 5 buyer clients of, we look at 2 or 3 and decide on one, and we go for it and we get it, and we're in and out pretty quick. And then you'll have the 4th or 5th where we look at 25 or 30. So for me, it kind of, they balance each other out. I would say average, probably maybe 15 or 20.
So yeah, I don't feel so bad now.
So been in real estate since 1992. When I was a sales rep, Justin has heard this story, so he might fall asleep here in a second. I was with Dominion Homes, now Pulte. I would visit a number of area real estate association meetings. These are outstanding resources for agents that are in our Columbus Board of Realtors and in the state of Ohio. Basically, every suburban town has one. We have one out in Sunbury. So I would visit these area real estate association meetings. And things have changed a lot. But back then, there was actually a very experienced real estate agent who was providing a seminar to other agents. And she was going to the various realty association meetings announcing this seminar. You know what the name of her seminar was, James?
How to close your client in 5 houses.
It was way worse than that. It was buy a house or get out of my car.
Ouch.
So I acknowledge that existed at one time, because that is diametrically opposite of how you asked earlier, what's the definition of a good or a great real estate agent? It's opposite of that. And I said earlier, we don't run from the fact that something has to be sold or something has to be bought in order for people to be happy and everybody to get paid. But the fact of the matter is, James, this is not about selling a house for a client who's listing their house. And it's not actually about buying a house for a client who wants to buy it. It's about being of assistance to them for them to make that decision. When we're on tour with clients and walking into a variety of houses, it is not within our purview to let our clients know how much we love that house, even if we do. You can show them a house that you think is just perfect, meets their criteria, everything's good. If it's not a home that they can pull up to every day and love, that's not a home that's for them. So we stop short of the selling process when it comes to touring homes. Our clients fall in love. It's our job to ensure that they're protected as it relates to our fiduciary responsibilities to them, right? I'm old school, so it's accountability, confidentiality, obedience, as long as we're not asked to do anything illegal, loyalty, and full disclosure. That's our job, to give that kind of expert advice. That's a place that you can pull up to every day for the last 24 years and be in love with it, right?
Right.
So that's what we want.
You mentioned the sense of smell earlier going into a house, and I've heard some real estate agents talking about making fresh baked cookies for open houses so that that's the first thing that they smell. At least it's better than other stuff they might smell, right?
That's correct.
Well,
That's correct.
I think that goes, and that plays back to my time in the in the restaurant industry. A lot of the experience of people in restaurants is similar to the experience we want to produce in when we're presenting homes to be sold or shown. It's about, like Mark said, what they smell, what they see, what the ambiance is. So what they hear, what they see, what they smell, and sometimes what they smell comes first. So the baking cookies is a great idea. I love that.
All right, that is going to be a great segue into our final segment for this first episode of Know, Like, Trust. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about family dishes. It's the holiday season, so Mark, Justin, you guys might have a dish that you do, or a family dish. For me, it's probably going to be either my mother's dish or a grandmother and aunt and uncle dish, but it won't always be about food. But today it is. It's going to be about a holiday dish that either you make or someone in your family makes that just stands on its own. Someone else can make something similar. They can call it the same thing, but it just doesn't have that same taste. The recipe's just not the same. You can take one bite and say, not it. For me, like Ratatouille, the movie Ratatouille, when he took a bite and it gave him a flashback to when he was like 9 years old, that's what I'm talking about. So let's start with you first, Justin.
So my big one is buffalo chicken dip. It fits any holiday. It fits a sporting event. It fits an OSU game. It fits a movie night. It fits everything. So buffalo chicken dip. Me and my roommates out of high school, we used to make it every Sunday when we'd be watching the games or just hanging out at the house that we rented together. And so I'll give you the recipe if you guys are ready for it. It's 3 big cans of the canned chicken. Now, if you want to be bougie, you can go out and cook a chicken or get a rotisserie chicken, but this is the way we did it, quick and dirty. And it's
Bougie?
Bougie means like,
bourgeois.
Like, yeah. So
Got it.
if you want to be fancy, you can go out and, make
I'm
your
old,
chicken
man.
fresh. But
Okay.
so 3 of the big cans of canned chicken from Kroger or Meijer or wherever. This all goes into a mixing bowl. A cup of ranch, a cup of hot sauce, a cup of whatever kind of shredded cheese you want, diced jalapenos. You mix all that up in a bowl. You put it in a baking dish. You bake it at 325 for about 45 minutes. Once it's done baking, you take it out and you do another layer of cheese, another layer of maybe ranch and hot sauce on top, another layer of diced jalapenos on top. Pop it back in for another 15 minutes. And I promise, wherever you take that thing, it will be gone. Serve it with some scoops or Tostitos, whatever, and that thing will disappear no matter where you're at.
That sounds amazing. Now, mine, I don't have the recipe for it, but I can just tell you that my mom's sweet potato casserole, I can have other people's sweet potato casserole, but it just fares in comparison. I can take one bite of my mom's sweet potato casserole, and I was like, yep, anybody else's, just not the same. Mark, how about you?
Back in the mid-1920s, my grandmother moved here, Josephine. She moved here with her son, my Uncle Tony. They are technically the first generation. My father was born here, so he would be technically second generation, but let's call him first just for cheating's sake. And my mother, who was born here in Kentucky, I believe, Aunt Clara, you'll correct me when you see this. My father's Italian. They grew up speaking Italian. Grandmother and grandfather spoke Italian. Their whole family spoke Italian. My grandmother, of course, made the best pasta. She taught my mom, who was from here, how to make sauce. Not the pasta, it's the sauce. So she taught my mother. My mother taught my wife. My wife will put on a pot of spaghetti sauce the day before the day of the event. And the event would probably be something like Christmas Eve. Spaghetti at our house is a big deal because Erin's cooking the sauce. So it starts the day before. It cooks for probably 12 to 18 hours. It's delicious. I cannot find, with the exception of one restaurant, sauce that I like. That's Enrico's in Dublin. They have great sauce. No offense to the other Italian restaurants out there. So we love any kind of pasta with spaghetti, meatballs, pork, a delicious simple salad with olive oil and vinegar and salt and pepper, and Italian bread, and we're set to jet. So that's a favorite meal that happens throughout the year, but certainly around the holidays, everybody looks forward to Erin's spaghetti. There you go.
Well, shout out to Enrico's.
And a shout out to Enrico's. That's right.
So
Hi, Tiz. How you doing, Tiz?
Very good, gentlemen. That is a wrap, as they say. Episode 1, Know, Like, and Trust of the AMP podcast with your host, Mark Dandrea, the Doctor of Real Estate, and Justin Humphreys with Humphreys Homes. Gentlemen, let's put the contact information out there one more time.
Justin Humphreys, Humphreys Homes at Red One Realty. You can find me at Humphreys Homes on Facebook, at Humphreys_Homes on Instagram, and I'm always available by my cell phone, 740-275-1277.
Doctor of Real Estate 1 at gmail.com. Always available there. We'll respond quickly. And also 614-395-6275. You can always stop in and see us at the Red One office up in Westerville as well. We're there a bunch.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. For Mark Dandrea, the Doctor of Real Estate, and Justin Humphreys of Humphreys Homes, I'm James Minter with Buckeye Media Services. Close with a quote from Colin Powell: "There is no secret to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from your failures." Join us next week for another episode of the AMP Podcast.